Hello, I'm Lucas, and this is Bit of Lit, and we're going to talk about a little maybe Midrash reading that I've done, and that would be Samson Agonistes by John Milton. I think, much like Paradise Regained, there were a lot of things that I did not understand. It has a lot of footnotes down here, but they're mostly just to explain how is he using that word. If you're wondering what maybe Midrash is, it's a reading event, a read-along, read-a-thon, where you read one work of fiction and one work of nonfiction in conversation with religion. I chose Christianity, but you can choose any religion if you'd like. It doesn't have to be Judeo-Christian in any way. It can be Buddhism or Shintoism or the flying spaghetti monster, whatever, Pastafarianism, whatever that is. Probably not that, because I think that's meant to be more of a joke. But yeah, it's meant to be something serious, I guess. So anyway, now I feel silly for saying that. But yeah, you can choose any religion as long as it's in conversation with that. But even then, there could be books that sort of talk about religion and Pastafarianism and what all that means in a way. So, I don't know. Anyway, I read Samson Agonistes for this video. Last video, we talked about Paradise Regained, and we would have talked about Paradise Lost had I not already read it earlier this year, which is my favorite of his works, and I highly recommend it. Paradise Regained is also very interesting. It's not as dynamic as Paradise Lost, but it has its own merits. Not totally sold on it, but it is an interesting read, especially if you are religious. I think you will like it. I think it's okay. I would read it again. Samson Agonistes is a lot more engaging in a way, a lot more dynamic than Paradise Regained. The language of it feels a little more, has a little bit more punch to it, I suppose. Now, let's start talking about what happens. It's the story of Samson from Judges, I believe, in the Old Testament. And given, the Old Testament is brutal, but given how brutal the story of Samson is, I have to believe it is in Judges, because Judges is madness, to say the least. But it follows him after he's been caught, and his hair's been trimmed, and he's lost his power, and he's sort of been enslaved, and now he's blind, and he's lost everything. And his people have been suffering, and he had the power to, help his people who have suffered long enough. And then he lost it because the hair was sort of fleeting power, as a sort of symbol to him, I suppose. There's three main things I want to talk about in order, starting with the way he talks about his wife. Anyway, it also leads up to his eventual violent death, where he kills all the Philistines. But when he talks to his wife, when she comes in, he has no good words to say. And we even get the chorus, because this is based on a Greek tradition of Greek drama. And it is really misogynist. The way he wants to rip her apart, and the way he talks to his wife is just terrifying, because he sort of feels, you're to blame for, he won't take any responsibility, much like Adam. Everything is Eve's fault, and everything is, how do you say her name? Dalila? Sorry, I don't know. I forgot. But anyway, he blames his wife. That's the important thing. And even the chorus starts talking about how deceptive women are, and how they, women, especially his wife, leads to idolatry, which sort of leads into the next point that is sort of intertwined with the real life status of John Milton. Samson is blind. John Milton was also blind by the time that this came out, and I think it's kind of interesting to see how he portrays this blind character, because he was blind at the time, or at least for a long period, or going blind for a long period of the conceptualization of this poem, drama, closet drama, that was never meant to be performed. But Samson's not just physically blind, he's sort of spiritually blind, partly because of his wife, because she led him down to idolatry and is the reason he's been emasculated and lost everything. That's the way it's presented. And yeah, so he also has these sort of like divine feelings, I guess. He feels like he's being spoken to in a way, and he wants to redeem himself in the eyes of God, who gave him the power and then took it away, and made it, just so slight and possible to lose so easily. So yeah, at the end of the play, end of his story, he gets the power back, and he destroys everything, all the Philistines, and dies himself. Now, when this happens, we've been following him basically on his shoulder the whole time. Pretty much first person, close third person. But then we hear about what happened from other people. And this would be the father and, let's see, let me get his name right, and the messenger. Okay, the father and the messenger. And do I even have the right page? No, I don't. This is embarrassing. Sorry. Where'd it go? All right. His father. The accident was loud, and here before thee with rueful cry, yet what it was we hear not, no preface needs, thou seest, we long to know. Messenger. It would burst forth, but I recover breath and sense distract to know well what I utter. Father. Tell us the sum, the circumstance defer. Messenger. Gaza yet stands, but all her sons are fallen, all in a moment overwhelmed and fallen. Father. Sad, but thou knowest to Israelites not saddest, the desolation of a hostile city. Messenger. Feed on that first, there may in grief be surfeit. I don't know how to say that word, actually. His father. Relate by whom? Messenger. By Samson. Father. That still lessens the sorrow and converts it nigh to joy. Messenger. Ah, Manoah, I refrain too suddenly to utter what will come at last too soon, lest evil tidings with too rude eruption, hitting thy aged ears, should pierce too deep. Manoah, his father. Suspense in news is torture. Speak them out. Messenger. Then take the worst in brief. Samson is dead. The worst indeed. Oh, all my hopes defeated to... this is the father. All my hopes defeated to free him hence. But death, who sets all free, hath paid his ransom now, and full discharge. What windy joy this day I had I conceived, hopeful of his delivery, which now proves abortive as the firstborn bloom of spring, nipped with the lagging rear of winter's frost. Yet ere I give the reins to grief, say first, how died he? Death to life is crown or shame, all by him fell, thou sayest. By whom fell he? What glorious hand gave Samson his death's wound? Unwounded, of his enemies he fell. Wearied with slaughter then? Or how? Explain. By his own hands. Self-violence, what cause brought him so soon at variance with himself among his foes? Inevitable cause, at once both to destroy and be destroyed, the edifice where all were met to see him, upon their heads and on his own he pulled. and I'll leave it there. But the focus is on the violence. There's no, Samson had a reason for this. He thought he was going to bring about good. And it goes on, but the focus in this immediate moment and a little bit thereafter is on the violence of the whole episode, not peace or a lack, bringing an end to calamity or anything like that. It is the violent actions of a father's son. And I think that's all I want to say. It's an interesting poem, horribly sexist, misogynist, but if you've read it, let me know what you think. I might have misrepresented something, so let me know. I'm not. I have read Judges before, and I just read this, but I don't know Samson in and out, and there's a lot of weird references that I didn't really understand. I mean, there were footnotes, I think, that I showed them. If not, there are footnotes, but they mostly just explain how the words are being used, and that's only so helpful. Interesting poem, a lot of spiritual talk about spiritual blindness, and showing the violent ends of all this, and that's all I've got to say. Again, another poem I would read again, a drama, but thank you. Next time we will talk about the first half of East of Eden, so stay tuned for that, because that will be another fiction piece, more thematically related instead of retelling a story. So thank you, goodbye.